The federal government's $10 a day childcare plan, which was brought forward with much fanfare, is facing some tough questions and logistical hurdles. And while the prospect of lowering childcare costs for Canadian families is something that most can celebrate, the rollout of Ottawa's program has been met with opposition from childcare providers, specifically in Ontario, where childcare centers are reporting that they are losing money despite operating at capacity. Joining us now to help unpack this debate over childcare in Ontario is Hadassah Alencar, reporter at Canadian Affairs. Thank you very much for being back with us on Forum Daily.
Great to be here. Thank you.
In your reporting, you note that Ontario childcare centers are increasingly losing money despite being full. Can you walk us through how that's possible?
Yes, many Ontario childcare centres that have enrolled in this Canada-wide early learning and childcare system, which many call the $10 a day program, are at risk. And this issue was really raised by Danielle Wittick. She's the director of programming for NIAD Community Incorporate, which is a nonprofit childcare operation in Scarborough. And what we heard that under the current $10 a day program in Ontario, parents pay just more than 50% the cost of childcare. They don't pay $10 a day yet. Ontario plans to get to that point gradually in a few years. But for childcare centers and for all Canadians, really, the costs of living are going up. The price of food, rentals, goods continue to rise. And the issue is Ontario government's fee portion to pay daycare centers under the $10 a day program is still set at the amount they paid daycares in 2022. This means that there is a
Mhm.
gap between the rising cost of childcare and to really give their services and what they're actually getting for each child. And so Danielle, who I mentioned earlier, said the childcare center is operating at a deficit for 2023 and continues to do so this year.
And why has that reimbursement rate stayed the same? Has there been a government response or justification for this?
So when childcare centers signed on to the $10 a day program with the Ontario government, they agreed to freeze the rates in 2020. And Danielle, in 2022, sorry. Danielle said herself that she and others expected that measure to be temporary. They expected that the rates would be
Mhm.
updated as costs continue to rise, but that has not happened. And as this is a developing story, Canadian Affairs, we plan on digging into this topic more. But what we know is that municipalities are responsible for distributing the funds to the childcare centers who are enrolled in the program, and they receive this money from the provincial government. So Danielle's just said that they have many unanswered questions, and so do other childcare providers over how this program will be updated or if it will be.
And how much are these childcare centers losing per child per day based on the current funding model?
So in Danielle's case, they have 7 childcare centers, and they've lost about $5 a day for each child. They have 380 children under the $10 a day program, and this represents thousands of dollars lost. But unfortunately,
Mhm.
the total loss is even difficult to calculate because she says many times the money that they receive for the program is less than they expect. It's really unclear what the calculation is for the program and how it works. Danielle called the program funding a mess, and so did others in their organizations. She went as far to say is that there is no rhyme or reason to how the payments are being handled.
And your reporting also notes that there are persistent staffing problems in the sector. What are some of the root causes of that staffing shortage?
I spoke with Morna Ballantyne, executive director at Childcare Now, a childcare advocacy association, and she says that educators are often disillusioned once they start working for childcare centers. They find that their work is underpaid. On top of that, they are expected to take on tasks that are unrelated to childcare, such as cleaning toilets and floors. And
Mhm.
many are seeing childcare centers as a kind of stepping stone to enter different fields, such as teachers' college. I also spoke with Michelle Kelsey. She's the founders of Nannies on Call, a national nanny agency. And she said she interviews registered childcare educators every day who are leaving childcare centers to become a nanny. She's heard in her interviews that many are overwhelmed by the number of children they have and the lack of personal connection, and this has caused many to want to leave the centers.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.